Imagine two people waking up in the same city on a random Tuesday morning. The same sunlight comes through their windows. The same traffic noise hums in the background. The same coffee costs $6 down the street. But their financial realities couldn't be more different. Daniel earns $115,000 a year. On paper, he's doing everything right. He lives in a modern apartment, drives a leased SUV, owns the newest iPhone, and his closet looks like a retail store. If you saw his life on social media, you'd probably assume he's financially secure. But every month feels like a race. His paycheck comes in and within days, it's already allocated. Rent, car payment, subscriptions, credit cards, dining out, small reward purchases. He's not broke, but he's never relaxed. There's always this low-level anxiety humming in the background, like something could go wrong at any moment. And if it does, he doesn't have much of a buffer. Maybe 2 months, if he's careful. Now meet Lucas. He earns $62,000 a year, almost half of Daniel. His apartment is smaller. His car is older, but fully paid off. His wardrobe is simple, functional, not flashy. He doesn't upgrade his phone every year. But here's what you don't see at first glance. Lucas has nearly 2 years of living expenses saved. He invests automatically every month. He doesn't think twice before buying groceries. He sleeps peacefully. There's no background stress, no constant checking of his bank account, no silent panic when unexpected expenses show up. And the question is, how is that possible? How can someone earning almost half feel twice as secure? The answer has nothing to do with intelligence or discipline. In the way most people think about it, it has everything to do with how they relate to what they own. Because money problems, for most people, are not income problems. They are accumulation problems. Daniel didn't wake up one day and decide to become financially stressed. It happened slowly, invisibly, through dozens of small decisions. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly better car, a few more subscriptions, a habit of upgrading things that were already working fine. None of these decisions felt dramatic on their own, but together, they built a system where his money had no room to breathe. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never fully understand. Everything you own has a cost that continues long after you buy it. Every object comes with an invisible contract. The price tag is just the beginning. What follows is the real expense, the one that quietly drains your finances over time, without asking for permission. Think about something simple, like a treadmill sitting in the corner of a room. Maybe it cost $800 up front. That seems straightforward, but it occupies space, and space, especially in cities, is expensive. That square footage is part of the rent you pay every month. Over a year, that treadmill could be costing you hundreds of dollars just to exist in your home. Then there's maintenance, cleaning, the mental weight of seeing it unused, the small but real stress of knowing you should be using it but aren't. Multiply that by dozens of unused or underused items, and suddenly your home becomes a silent financial burden. This is what we can call the double cost reality. The first cost is visible, the second cost is hidden, and the second cost is often bigger over time. It includes storage, maintenance, time, attention, and something even more important, opportunity cost. Every dollar tied up in things you don't truly use is a dollar that could have been invested, saved, or used to create real freedom. And once you start seeing this pattern, it becomes impossible to ignore. The problem isn't just spending money, it's locking your money into objects that give you very little return. This is where the shift begins. Financial stability doesn't come from making perfect decisions. It comes from asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you start asking, "How will this affect my life over time?" One of the simplest but most powerful tools is cost per use. When you divide the price of something by how often you actually use it, the truth becomes clear instantly. A $400 jacket worn 200 times costs $2 per wear. That's value. But a $150 trendy item worn twice costs $75 per use. That's not fashion, it's a financial leak. This single perspective changes how you see spending. It removes emotion and replaces it with clarity. Suddenly, The excitement of buying something new replaced by a simple calculation, is this actually worth it? But even deeper than cost per use is a question that challenges your attachment to things. If this item disappeared today, would you buy it again? This question cuts through sentiment, guilt, and habit instantly. Most people are surprised by how often the answer is no. That expensive kitchen gadget you never use, the extra clothes you forgot you owned, the decorative items that don't actually add anything meaningful to your life. If you wouldn't buy them again, then why are you paying to keep them? Because that's what you're doing. You're paying in space, time, and mental energy every single day. Another major drain on financial stability is the habit of upgrading out of boredom. This is one of the most normalized behaviors in modern life. Your phone works perfectly fine, but a new version comes out, slightly better camera, slightly faster performance, and suddenly your perfectly functional device feels outdated. The same thing happens with cars, TVs, furniture, even clothes. We've been conditioned to associate new with better, even when nothing is actually broken. But boredom is not a valid financial reason. Replacing something that still works doesn't improve your life in a meaningful way. It just resets your expenses. Wealth is rarely destroyed in one big moment. It's slowly drained through small, repeated upgrades that feel harmless at the time. And this is why relying on willpower alone doesn't work. You can't expect yourself to resist temptation constantly. The environment you create matters more than your discipline. If spending is easy, you will spend. If saving is automatic, you will save. So the goal is to flip the default settings of your life. Remove saved payment methods from online stores. Delete apps that encourage impulsive buying. Introduce friction into your spending process. Something as simple as a 24-hour waiting rule can eliminate most unnecessary purchases. When you give yourself time, emotions fade and logic returns. At the same time, make saving effortless. Automate your investments. Treat them like non-negotiable expenses. When the money is invested before you see it, you don't feel like you're giving anything up. You're simply building your future in the background. One of the most eye-opening exercises you can do is count what you own. Not estimate, actually count. Go into your closet and count your shirts. Most people guess around 15 or 20. Then they realize it's closer to 40 or 50. The same happens with shoes, gadgets, kitchen tools. This exercise isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. When you see the excess clearly, your behavior changes naturally. You stop buying duplicates. You start using what you already have. You become more intentional without forcing it. Awareness creates discipline without effort. Before buying anything new, there's another powerful strategy. Test before you commit. We often fall in love with the idea of something, not the reality of using it. A new hobby, for example, feels exciting in theory. You imagine yourself using that camera, going on camping trips, working out every day. But reality is different. Interest fades, time gets limited, and the equipment ends up unused. Instead of committing immediately, rent or borrow. Experience it first. This removes the fantasy and replaces it with truth. If you still enjoy it after trying, then you can buy with confidence. If not, you've saved yourself from an expensive mistake. But perhaps the most important concept of all is understanding the chain reaction of spending. Every major purchase creates additional costs. This is the lifestyle multiplier effect. You don't just buy a car, you pay for insurance, maintenance, fuel, parking. You don't just upgrade your living space, you increase utilities, furniture costs, expectations. You don't just buy a pet, you commit 2 years of food, healthcare, and time. These secondary costs are often larger than the initial purchase over time, and most people don't calculate them. They focus on the price tag, not the long-term commitment. But financially stable people think differently. They don't ask, "Can I buy this?" They ask, "What will this cost me over the next 5 years?" As you begin to apply these principles, something subtle but powerful happens. Your life starts to feel lighter, not empty but intentional. You have fewer things to manage, fewer decisions to make, fewer financial pressures. Your space becomes calmer, your mind becomes clearer, and with that clarity comes control. You're no longer reacting to your finances, you're directing them. You're choosing what stays and what goes. And that sense of control, more valuable than any material upgrade. Over time, this approach compounds. Your expenses stabilize. Your savings grow faster. Your investments start to build momentum. Opportunities open up not because you're chasing them, but because you're prepared for them. And perhaps most importantly, your relationship with money changes. It's no longer a source of stress or confusion. It becomes a tool, something you use intentionally to create the life you actually want. And that brings us back to where we started. Daniel and Lucas, to different incomes, to different outcomes. Daniel isn't financially struggling because he earns too little. He's struggling because his life is too heavy, too many obligations, too many expenses, too many things competing for his money and attention. Lucas, on the other hand, has created space in his life. Space for savings, space for growth, space for peace. And that space is what gives him stability. So if you feel like you're constantly working but never getting ahead, don't just look at your income. Look at what you're holding on to. Because sometimes, the fastest way to improve your financial life isn't by adding more. It's by removing what doesn't belong. It's by questioning every purchase, every habit, every assumption about what you need. It's by realizing that more isn't always better. Sometimes, more is just heavier. And once you understand that, everything changes.